Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at the idea of oneness and
Okay.
how it shapes how we see things, our perception of the world.
Hmm.
And we've got some really interesting source material to work with for this one.
Yeah.
It's a conversation between Aaron Abke, who
That's
is a Law of One expert,
yeah.
and Kyle Cease, who's a comedian and motivational speaker.
I'm familiar with Kelsey's.
Yeah. So these guys are really interesting thinkers, and they get into some deep stuff.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're talking about things like, is enlightenment like lucid dreaming?
Ah.
What's the role of humility, in all this?
Hmm.
How does understanding our higher self change the way we approach life?
Big questions.
Big questions, right?
Yeah.
So I'm excited to unpack all this with you.
Me too.
Maybe we can start with a little background on this law of one thing,
Sure.
because I'm not super familiar with it.
Yeah. So the law of one basically says that everything in the universe is connected. It's all part of this one big consciousness.
Perfectly. Okay, so instead of being separate individuals,
Right.
we're all expressions of this one source.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, I see where the oneness idea fits in there.
Mm-hmm.
But how does that actually affect how we live our lives,
Well, Abke has this really interesting concept that we experience the universe as we are,
Uh-huh.
not as it actually is.
Wait, what does that mean?
Okay, think about scientists studying the universe.
Right.
They're limited by what they know at the time,
Yeah.
the instruments they're using, and their own biases even.
Right.
So they're seeing the universe through a specific lens,
Yeah.
not necessarily seeing it as a whole.
So are you saying we're all kind of walking around with these limited lenses?
Yeah.
Filtering reality based on our own stuff?
Exactly. If you're carrying around a lot of negativity,
Yeah.
you're probably going to see the world as a pretty negative place.
That makes sense.
But if you're cultivating inner peace, you're more likely to experience the world as harmonious.
Okay, so our internal state is shaping our external reality.
That's the idea.
Wow. That's kind of freaky.
It is kind of like a personal matrix effect, right?
Seriously.
And it gets even more interesting.
Oh boy.
So Abke brings up this principle from A Course in Miracles.
Okay.
Projection makes perception.
Okay.
Basically, we project all our unresolved issues.
Like what?
Our fears, our insecurities, all that baggage.
Not onto other people.
Yeah, onto other people, situations.
So you're saying when I'm judging someone,
Mhm.
I'm actually seeing something in myself.
That's what this principle suggests.
Yay. That's a tough one to swallow.
I know, right? But it's also kind of empowering.
How so?
Well, if we can change our inner world,
Yeah.
we can change how we experience everything around us.
Okay.
And to do that, both Abke and Cease talk a lot about the importance of humility.
I can see how humility might help you see things more clearly.
Right.
Because if you think you have all the answers, you're probably not very open to learning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Humility lets you acknowledge that you don't know everything.
Right.
So it opens you up to new possibilities, new perspectives.
It's like those times when you've been so stubborn about something,
Mhm.
clinging to your own viewpoint.
Yeah.
What if you had approached it with more humility?
Yeah, things could have been so different.
Right.
And Cease brings up this challenge of staying humble even when you're successful.
Yeah, it's easy to let your ego get inflated.
For sure.
When things are going well.
Right.
It's like suddenly you think you're better than everyone.
Yeah, and both he and Abke say that humility is key
Okay.
for keeping a healthy perspective.
So even when we achieve great things,
Mm-hmm.
it's important to remember that we're still part of something bigger
Absolutely.
than ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so this leads perfectly into another big idea that Abke talks about,
Oh, yeah.
the higher self.
Okay.
I've always found that concept a bit confusing.
Yeah, it can be tricky.
What exactly are we talking about here?
So Abke uses this really cool analogy.
Okay.
He compares our higher self to a future version of ourselves
Okay.
who's dreaming this current life,
Whoa, wait.
like how we dream at night.
So it's like our future self is orchestrating our present experiences.
That's the idea, yeah.
That's wild.
It is right. But think about it.
Okay.
Our higher selves exist outside of time and space.
Hmm.
They have a much broader perspective,
Yeah.
a deeper understanding of our soul's journey.
So it's not like they're controlling every little detail.
No,
More like they're setting up these experiences to help us grow.
that's a great way to put it.
And from the law of one perspective,
Mm-hmm.
we're all expressions of this larger consciousness.
Right.
And our higher selves are like facets of that.
Yeah. Helping us remember who we really are.
That's a beautiful way to think about it.
Right.
But if our higher selves are so wise, why do we go through so much suffering?
That's a good question.
It seems like they could make things a bit easier.
Yeah, well, that's where the idea of enlightenment as lucid dreaming comes in.
Okay.
Abke says, achieving enlightenment is like becoming lucid in a dream.
Okay.
Suddenly you realize you're not just a character,
Yeah.
but the dreamer.
So, just like a lucid dreamer can control the dream world,
Yeah.
an enlightened being operates from a higher level of consciousness
Right.
and can manifest greater possibilities.
Exactly.
Okay, I see the connection.
But here's where it gets kind of paradoxical.
Oh, yeah.
Abke points out that the more awake we become, the less tolerant we are of suffering.
Wait, why would that be?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
As we start to awaken to our true nature
Yeah.
and all the possibilities that exist,
Right.
the limitations and illusions of our ego,
Yeah.
they become unbearable.
Oh, I see.
It's like when you've tasted freedom, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You can't stand the thought of being confined again.
I get it.
And that intolerance for suffering,
Yeah.
that yearning for liberation, becomes a huge motivator for growth.
So the universe is using our discomfort to push us towards awakening.
Yes, he talks about how the more awake we become,
Yeah.
the less tolerant we are of suffering.
I'm still not sure I understand that.
Okay, well, it's not about seeking out suffering.
Right.
It's more about recognizing that discomfort can be a teacher.
Yeah.
It can show us where we're clinging to illusions,
Yeah.
where we're resisting the flow of life.
So instead of trying to avoid suffering, we can use it as an opportunity to grow.
Exactly. And this connects back to the idea of the higher self.
Okay.
If we trust that our higher selves are orchestrating our experiences, then we can approach challenges with more curiosity
Okay.
and openness.
Like life is a training ground,
That's a great way to put it.
and every experience is designed to help us evolve.
Exactly. And Abke's story really shows the power of that perspective.
Yeah.
He had this brief experience of enlightenment,
Right.
and it completely changed his life.
Mm.
It was like he'd seen a glimpse of what was possible.
Yeah.
And he was determined to overcome anything to get back there.
That's a powerful message.
It is?
And it resonates with me. It's not about reaching some distant goal.
No.
It's about making choices
Mm-hmm.
that are aligned with our truth.
Moment to moment.
And that takes courage.
It does.
Because it often means facing our fears.
Yeah, stepping outside our comfort zones.
And Abke definitely didn't shy away from that.
No, he was willing to do whatever it took.
To reconnect with that state of enlightenment.
He talks about studying different spiritual traditions, experimenting with meditation,
Yeah.
really dedicating himself to personal growth,
Sounds like a lot of trial and error.
definitely pushing his boundaries.
And through it all,
Yeah.
he was guided by this inner compass.
That inner knowing,
Yeah.
he was following his truth.
I love that idea.
Yeah,
That we all have that guidance within us.
we do. It's just a matter of learning to listen.
It's empowering to
Is.
think that we have all the answers within.
And the more we cultivate that connection, the more we can trust that we're exactly where we're meant to be,
Even when things are tough,
even when it's uncertain,
that's so important.
especially these days.
When it's so easy to feel lost.
Exactly. And this is where mindfulness comes in.
Okay.
Abby talks about how important it is to stay present,
Yeah.
observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment,
Without judgment.
and cultivate inner peace.
So mindfulness isn't just about meditation. It's about bringing that awareness to everyday life.
Exactly. Paying attention to our inner landscape, noticing our patterns, our habits,
Right.
and making choices that align with our values.
And by doing that, we can create a reality that reflects our true selves.
Precisely. And it brings us back to this idea of the higher self.
Okay.
If we trust that our higher selves are orchestrating our experiences,
Yeah.
we can approach life with more curiosity, more wonder, even in the face of adversity.
It's like we're characters in a cosmic play.
I love that.
And our higher selves are the directors.
The wise and compassionate directors.
Guiding us toward our potential.
Beautiful analogy.
It really captures the essence of Abke's message.
It does.
I'm curious to explore that analogy further.
Right.
What does it mean to see our lives through that lens?
That's a great question, and one that's worth unpacking. Let's dive into that.
So we're talking about life as a cosmic play.
Right. A play directed by our higher selves.
It's a powerful image.
It really is.
Yeah.
It makes you think about time and identity in a whole new way.
Yeah. Like if our higher selves exist outside those limitations, it suggests a level of interconnectedness that's hard to grasp.
It is. It's mind-blowing.
You know, it's like those moments when you just know something,
Yeah.
but you can't explain how.
Right. It's like a gut feeling.
Yeah. Could that be our higher selves trying to guide us?
That's exactly the kind of guidance Abke talks about.
Okay.
Those subtle cues, intuitive nudges,
Yeah.
synchronicities that seem to come out of nowhere.
The cosmic GPS.
But instead of giving you directions,
Yeah.
it works on a deeper, more intuitive level.
But if our higher selves are always guiding us,
Mm-hmm.
why do we feel so lost sometimes?
That's a good question.
Why do we make choices that seem like wrong turns?
Well, we have free will.
Right.
We have the freedom to choose, even if it's not the best choice.
And sometimes those wrong turns are exactly what we need to learn and grow.
It's true. Sometimes you got to get lost to find your way.
Like those detours that lead you to something amazing.
Exactly. And even when those choices lead to suffering,
Mm-hmm.
our higher selves can use that to help us course correct.
So it's not about beating ourselves up. It's
Yeah.
about learning from our experiences.
And that's where self-compassion comes in.
Yeah.
We're all on a journey. We all make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
The key is to be kind to ourselves, learn, and keep moving forward.
It's a good reminder that we're not alone in all this.
No, you're not. We have this wise part of ourselves,
Our higher selves.
always there to support us, even when we don't realize it.
And the more we connect with that part of ourselves,
Yeah.
the more we can tap into our intuition.
Our inner wisdom,
Trust that we're right where we need to be.
that's the key.
So Abke's analogy of enlightenment as lucid dreaming. When we become lucid, we realize we're not just a character.
Yeah.
We're the dreamer. We have the power to change things.
Right.
Is he saying enlightenment is about realizing we create our own reality?
In a way, yes. But it's not about ego or control. It's about aligning with our higher selves,
Yeah.
with that divine source within us.
Letting that wisdom flow through us.
Exactly.
Surrendering to the bigger picture.
Trusting that everything is happening for a reason.
Even when it doesn't make sense.
Even then. And that surrender doesn't mean being passive.
Okay.
It means actively participating in our evolution.
Making conscious choices.
Choices that align with our soul's purpose.
So it's a balance between surrender and taking responsibility.
A delicate dance.
As we become more aware of this dynamic,
Mm.
cultivate humility and trust in our higher selves.
We move toward greater harmony.
Fulfillment.
Exactly.
This has been a truly mind-expanding deep dive.
We
We have explored so much, the law of one, the nature of reality.
the power of our higher selves.
It all comes back to this idea, we're not separate, we're interconnected.
Expressions of one consciousness.
And we each have this profound wisdom within us,
Our higher selves.
always guiding us toward our potential. So as you go about your day, consider this question.
Okay.
If life is a dream orchestrated by your higher self,
Mm-hmm.
what experiences is it trying to guide you toward?
What lessons can you learn from your current circumstances?
Those are powerful questions to ponder. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We encourage you to keep exploring these concepts, and until next time, keep diving deep.